we'll back up. These parcels you've identified are parcels in Boone County. Would I have that correct?
That is correct. Specifically, they're just a little bit west of the Story County line. I think probably everybody here has noticed it because of the semi-trailer with the big sign that says stop eminent domain abuse.
Are you the same person who previously signed and submitted written testimony in this matter?
Indeed, I am.
Okay. And do you have any corrections to your statement?
I do not.
Okay. With respect to your statement, you identify these parcels, and I'm having some questions now as far as along the lines of clarifying your testimony. With respect to parcel number IA-BO-136.000, how many acres are in this parcel?
Approximately 150.
And as a matter of clarification, has that parcel ever been divided, subdivided?
No.
Are there any streets or alleys in there dividing that parcel at all?
No.
Over the past 5 years, has this parcel been used for the production of agricultural commodities?
It has.
What are those commodities?
Corn and soybeans.
Over that time, are you aware if there's been any fertilizer placed on that parcel?
There has.
Okay. Thank you. I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier?
No questions.
Mr. Piazza?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Dublinsky?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Lamm.
Good morning.
See if I can get this situated a little better here. Mr. Lamm, at page 1 of your testimony, you make clear that you would never sign a voluntary easement for any price. Is that correct?
I did say that, indeed.
And am I correct that one of your concerns has to do with drainage tile?
It is one of my concerns, yes.
When was the last time that you had additional tile installed on your property?
I don't honestly remember. I would guess maybe about 10 years ago. I would clarify that by saying that we would like to do more, but there's a problem with the main tile drainage in that would prevent further use of tile. So in other words, we're stuck. We'd like to do more, but we can't due to circumstances beyond our control.
Have you given the map of your tile to your land agent with Dakota Access?
No.
What are the problems you're referring to there that are limiting the ability to put in new tile?
We have kind of an unusual situation. There's some state-owned land. Actually, it's the state agronomy farm and state biofuel research facility. And their drainage, as I understand it, I don't understand all the technical details there, but their drainage is such that unless they take some action, we can do nothing more to empty further tiling on our property. In effect, their water drains into our field. And at one time we tried installing a check valve to prevent that, and that didn't seem to work out either. In the end, we decided to go simply with putting that land into conservation reserve, and that's where it is now. So basically, I think it's all we can do.
Mr. Lamm, you're talking about the tile. Are you familiar with the board's Chapter 9 rules regarding?
I don't believe I am.
Okay. Are you familiar with Dakota Access's Agricultural Impact Mitigation Plan?
I know there is one. I have not read it in detail.
Do you know when you installed your last tile 10 years ago, was that project following the rules that the board has for land restoration?
I don't really even recall the circumstances. I would like to think that we followed whatever guidelines that were the county board FSA required.
Are you aware that in the Chapter 9 rules, the board has passed a set of rules that it intended to comprehensively address repair and remediation of drain tile after projects like this?
I was aware.
Objection as to assuming facts not in evidence. The board has in the past any rules. Dakota Access has submitted those rules for passage, and also this witness has already testified he has not studied the proposed AIMP in any detail. So lack of personal knowledge as well on this objection.
Your Honor, that's obviously wrong. The board has passed rules. The landowner testifies as to concerns about tile being one of the reasons he wouldn't sign the easement. I think it's fair to ask him if he's aware that there are laws in place that address the concerns that he testifies to.
Then as to the vagueness of the question, because Mr. Dolinsky, I would agree, the board has passed the Chapter 9 rules. Is he referring to the Chapter 9 rules or the AIMP that is being proposed? Which, by the way, the AIMP, and neither the AIMP or the Chapter 9 witnesses already clarified he doesn't have any specific familiarity with those rules.
Mr. Murray, you seem to always put me in the awkward position of I'm overruling you in part and sustaining Mr. Dublinsky, allowing him to continue, but you need to restate the question and make it specific to the rules that you're implying. And if the witness does not know and has not seen it, he can't answer that question.
Mr. Lamm, if you were aware that the board had passed rules to address and require Dakota Access to remediate any damage to drain tile, would that address your concerns about tile?
I doubt it. Frankly, I do not trust Dakota Access to follow through on that.
I believe you also talked a little bit about potential future development. To be clear, do you have any offers on your properties right now for future non-agricultural development?
No.
Have there been any plats submitted to develop your property for non-agricultural uses?
No.
Is there any pending rezoning of your property for non-agricultural uses?
No.
Now, you talked about row crops. I assume that you use farm machinery for that,
Of course.
tractors, combines.
Indeed, we do.
And what is the fuel that those run on?
Diesel fuel.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Pauly,
No questions. Thank you.
Ms. Jacobs,
Yes, good morning. Mr. Lamm up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tech Desk, for pulling that up. That's what I'm looking for. Just a couple of questions regarding this map and the land that you indicate you have, as well as the land to the north that's your wife has.
Mm-hmm.
At any time, did you or your wife just ask Dakota Access about moving the pipeline so that it would follow along the boundaries of the property instead of cutting through it?
I didn't. My assumption was that this was fixed. I was never offered that opportunity. Perhaps I should have pursued that. I frankly thought that was pointless to ask.
So when you say you thought it was fixed, what do you mean by that?
This was the route, and that's where it's going to go.
So you at no time have had any conversations with Dakota Access about changing the pipeline crossing through your property or your wife's property?
Well, let me say that I've been observing this whole process. It's a diagonal route, almost perfect from one corner of Iowa to the other. I think it's not unreasonable for me to assume that if that were an option, a lot of other people would have asked for it. So I don't think that really I'm remiss in not bringing up a topic that's so obvious that there's a better routes than diagonally through a farm.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wagner. Mr. Lamm, if you would look at the map that's up above, you stated that there was research farm, biofuel research farm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to the north of your property?
No, no. It's if you look at first of all, it is US 30 that runs right between my wife's land to the north and my land to the south, and right where the cursor is now. If you go immediately to the left of my land, on south of US 30. That is the Iowa State Agronomy Farm. And then farther to the west is the biodiesel or the biofuels research. I'm not exactly sure how those things are split up, but it is all
Well-
Iowa State land in there.
Who owns the property to the east?
The east is, I believe it's Reeder is the last name. I'm not sure how it appears on the map.
There are a number of questions that the board has decided we want to ask the landowners that are testifying and have filed information. Most of those questions have been answered, but I do want to clarify. You were asked whether or not you had any plans for a different use of the property in the future. And then you were asked whether there was any offers or that have been made to you currently. Have you ever had any offers at any time in the past for this property?
I have. I can't recall exactly what purpose or why. Nothing in the scope of a major shopping mall of that notion. I think more the kind of gas station, whatever, that would go along a major highway. Now, I should say that I have never made any attempt to solicit such offers either. No advertising, no talking to real estate agents. It's there. I think it's pretty obvious that that's a prime area for development, since there are many new businesses and even residential areas not very far from there.
Did the farm used to include the land where the school is?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Did the farm land used to include the land where the school is located?
In other words, you're asking, did the school come out of my land?
Yes.
Oh, no, huh?
Okay. Do you have any other installations other than do you have any other installations on the property?
Installations?
Do you have any other pipelines, any other?
Oh, well, yes. There, as with any land along a major thoroughfare like that, there are communications lines, and there's the rural water district, telephone. We have, in fact, a cell phone tower that's on my land on the south. And if I might just for a minute say a few words about that. Is that a yes?
Go ahead.
Okay. That was a voluntary easement. And what's important here, several things. One of them, this was something that was a benefit to the surrounding area, to the community, to the citizens. Secondly, the owner of the cell phone tower promised, and they fulfilled, no permanent damage to the land. Thirdly, it's paid every year, not a one-time, not an in perpetuity. It's a limited time lease that pays every year. I felt, in effect, we were sharing in their profits from having it. And fourthly, and most importantly, it was my choice. It was an arm's length deal. They could have gone elsewhere. I could have told them no. We settled. We've both been happy with the arrangement.
I know that your testimony has stated that you are looking for certain things in terms of relief. So other than not building the pipeline or moving it off of your property, is there any other relief that you're requesting from the board?
Well, yes. If I could just have a moment to speak to those issues. First of all, not building it. Absolutely, that's what I would like. In my humble opinion, which is certainly backed by the testimony of experts we've heard here, this on a national, planet-wide scale only encourages and perpetuates the use of dirty fossil fuels. that I believe have no more place in our energy needs, all the way from the start to the dangers of fracking, to its transportation and how it's used. I believe our future nationally is in renewable and clean energy, of which this certainly is not. And I certainly resent any implication that it would be unpatriotic to be backing this pipeline. I think it's the most unpatriotic thing you could do. I'd like to say also that Iowa is already a leader in renewable energy with the wind and ethanol. In fact, this is a product that even competes with ethanol. I would like to comment too, speaking nationally again, that most of this oil is destined for export according to information on the Dakota Access communications I've received and from what they've publicly announced. So basically, I see this as being a race to drain America first for what would be perhaps an imperceptible change in world oil prices. Hard to see anything patriotic or favorable to our nation in that.
Okay. And I just need to clarify one thing. Is there any natural gas or other pipelines on the property?
There is not.
All right. Mr. Murray?
I just have one redirect question, I think. There was a question about tile.
Yes.
If eminent domain is granted, would you have any problem providing your tile map to the county inspector for his review and the placement of the pipeline?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Mr. Lamm,
Mm-hmm.
you made the statement that you had a lack of trust with the petitioner on this issue. Are you aware that the county supervisors are the individuals that will be hiring the inspectors that will be assisting with the construction of the pipeline should the proposed pipeline be approved?
I was not completely aware of the process. I knew something like that was supposed to happen.
Do you know your county supervisors?
I do not personally.
Do you think you could find the county courthouse and tell them what you think?
Oh, I'm sure I could, but I hope you can understand my skepticism on trusting either a big out-of-state.
Mr. Lamm?
Yes.
Yes, I do understand
okay.
how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not related to the rest of the questions. So I'm going to move on.
Okay.
Mr. Murray, you're completed. Your witness may step down, and you may call your next witness.
Except I'd offer Exhibit 10 that is associated with Mr. Lamb's testimony.
The testimony and Exhibit 10 with no objection.
Your Honor, my understanding is that exhibits pre-filed with the testimony have already been admitted. So.
Yes.
Okay.
It's admitted. You may call your next witness, and the witness may step down.
The next witness is Kevin Lambert. Thank you.
Mr. Murray, your next witness's name is?
Kevin Lambert.
I got it. Hello, Mr. Lambert. Please raise your right arm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Mr. Murray, you may begin.
Thank you. Please state your name.
Kevin Lambert.
And with the assistance of the technology desk and looking at the screen, I'm going to ask you, there's a parcel that's on the screen. Can you identify that for the court?
Yes, that's my mom's life estate property,
And-
Carolyn A. Lambert,
And is that, what county is that located in?
Webster.
Okay. And for the record, that would be IA-WE-101.000. Would I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I think there might be another parcel that you're commenting on, if I'm not mistaken. Would that be right?
Yes, there's also one in Boone County.
And who is that owned by?
John Burkhart, who's my grandfather.
Let's see if the tech desk can get us there. What part of Boone County is that in?
Be northwest part.
And looking at the map as it shows now, I see a parcel there that where the hand is over. And is that the parcel you're speaking of?
Yes.
John A. Burkhart? Is that your grandfather?
Yes.
And for the record, that appears to be IA-BO-018000. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, are you the same person who previously signed and submitted written testimony in this matter?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections to your written statement?
Yes, I do. On the second page,
Okay.
kind of right in the middle, we had a meeting set up with Dakota Access. I believe I thought it was in May, but it was actually June 4th.
All right. So
at-
let's stop right there.
Okay.
Is it under the second question or under the first question?
Be under the third question on the second page.
Okay. Can you read the question for the record?
You said they met you concerning your mother's farm. How about your grandfather's farm in Boone County?
Okay. And in there,
Can you hear me? Is that okay?
okay, we're good. Sorry, I had the wrong statement in front of me. So I think you're referring to the fourth line down, the word May, for the month of May.
Yes.
Do you want that to be changed?
Yes, the meeting was scheduled for June 4th at 1:30.
Okay. Any other corrections to your statement besides that?
Well, that same paragraph, we were supposed to meet at 1:30, and the meeting got canceled. And I'm just not sure who was supposed to reschedule the meeting.
I see that. Okay, so your testimony was that
I thought Dakota Access was going to reschedule the meeting,
okay.
but my grandfather's attorney was going to be there. So I don't know when the meeting got canceled, who said would reschedule.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Are there any other corrections to your statement?
No.
All right. With respect to the land that we identified, and if we can go back to the Boone County parcel, I want to ask you from a clarification standpoint, how many acres is in the Burkhart parcel IA-BO-018.000.
Roughly 150 acres total and 135 tillable.
Is this parcel been subdivided at all?
No,
Is there any streets or alleys running through it?
no,
Has this parcel been used for the production of agricultural commodities over the past 5 years?
yes.
What kind of agricultural commodities are those?
Corn and soybeans,
Over that period of time, has there been placed any fertilizer?
yes.
I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier,
No questions.
Mr. Piazza,
No questions.
Mr. Dubinsky,
No questions.
Mr. Pauly,
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Lambert.
Good morning.
I just have one question. In your testimony on page 3, on my printed copy, it goes to question 2 about, do you have any other concerns about the pipeline? You note that you have your own tile plow and you do tiling every year. It appears you're somewhat familiar with Dakota Access's agriculture mitigation plan.
It's a slippery thing.
I'm going to have Shane come up and make sure that it's appropriately attached. So just hold on 1 minute. We're off the record until it's okay. All right, Ms. Jacobs.
Thank you. As I was saying, in your testimony on page 3, the second question, you note that you have your own tile plow and you do tiling every year. It also is apparent from your testimony that you at least have some knowledge of the ag mitigation plan that Dakota Access has indicated it will follow. That is based on the procedures that are outlined in the Iowa Utilities Board Chapter 9 rules on ag land mitigation. Are you familiar with the processes that are in Chapter 9 and or in the ag mitigation plan?
A little.
From the knowledge you have of that, would you say that when you do the tiling every year, you follow those same processes and procedures?
Yes, when I tile one of my farms or a neighbor's farm, I always call the 611 number to see what utilities are out there. And then I talk to NRCS to make sure there's no wetlands, any restrictions for the tile.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. That's all the questions I have.
Mr. Wagner?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Lambert. You mentioned there was a difference between the number of acres and tillable acres. Was that in your grandfather's property? That was in the, your grandfather's property.
Boone County.
What makes up the difference?
His acreage, and when you buy a parcel of land, you'll buy part of the road.
Okay,
So
it's a road easement or?
And he has 2 creeks going through that farm,
Okay.
so that makes up.
Approximately where are the creeks? Does the pipeline cross either of those creeks?
Yes, on the east side of the property, there's a creek right there.
That the pipeline would cross? Okay. About how large? Does it flow all year long, or is
Yes,
it?
yep, yeah, it does a lot of drainage for, everything to the north, because that's where it's coming from.
Okay, and about how large is it?
I'd say it's 50 feet wide and 30 to 40 feet deep.
Okay,
It's a pretty good size.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
You've heard me state that we have a number of questions that we have jointly prepared. The first one is, did you file any objections in this docket?
Yes,
Is it your intent to have the board adopt those objections as part of the record?
yes.
So ordered. Do you have any plans for different use of the property in future, either yours or your grandfather's? Or your,
No.
does the property have, other than drainage tiles, any other installations?
There might be a Xenia water line on one side of the farm. I'm not sure on that, but other than that,
Which parcel? Your grandfather's or?
grandfather's, yes.
Are there any natural gas or other pipelines on either parcel?
No.
And your testimony talks about your grandfather's attorney. Who is your grandfather's attorney?
It's Mahoney out of Boone.
And then can you, as it relates to the testimony that you've provided to the board, tell the board what you're looking for in terms of relief?
Well, I just don't believe the pipeline should be going through my property. I'm not against the pipeline. When I met with them on getting access to survey it, one meeting, the lady indicated to me that all the neighbors had signed to allow them to survey. And I just made the comment to her, well, if everybody around me's for it and I'm against it, go around me.
Do you know the name of your land agent?
I met with two different people. There was an older gentleman, and then the second lady was Jennifer Beck. And I believe she was from Minnesota.
Is there anything else that you want to add or tell the board?
Yeah, just one thing here. Today I'm here to ask you to do one thing, your job. Your job is to rule on if a private company is allowed to use eminent domain for their personal gain. Your answer should come quite easily, for eminent domain is for government entities and good for the communities in Iowa. A private company with very little assets should not be granted eminent domain. I met with Dakota Access in good faith and negotiated on how I would allow a pipeline on my farm. After showing the easements to my attorney, it came to my attention that this easement was forever, perpetuity. I believe every easement should have a beginning date and an end date. Payments should be given annually until the end date is reached. After consulting with two appraisers, I was told it could reduce the value of my farm by possibly 20 to 25%. Too much risk is being incurred for my operation. My farm operation is run on a risk-reward parameter. I believe it is unconstitutional according to the Fourth Amendment to allow this company to move forward. A lot of Iowans do not realize we already have oil fields here in Iowa. They are called biodiesel plants and ethanol plants. I run flex fuel vehicles and am proud of how these plants have helped rural Iowa economy. This hazardous pipeline project will not help the Iowa economy in the long run and will actually put landowners and our state at risk. My father always told me to take care of the land and the land will take care of you. He passed away almost 5 years ago, and I am proud to carry on his legacy. What legacy do you want to be remembered for? Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Mr. Murray,
I don't have any redirect.
could you please tell the board your next witness?
Yes. William Smith. I do have a challenge here with respect to Smith and the
Mr.
wheelchair.
Murray, with your permission, we're going to, that front table is meant for this purpose.
Thank you.
And do you have a problem with that?
Oh,
I
no.
mean, I want to make sure there's no objection to the
Yeah.
witness sitting at the front table. Mr. Dublinsky? Okay. Okay. right. We can put a mic right there. All right, perfect. Good morning.
Thing.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
May be seated in the chair there. Mr. Murray.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, can you please state your name for the record?
William R. Smith?
And do you also go by Bill?
Yes, I also go by Bill.
Now, using the screen, I'm going to have you identify the parcels that are affected by the pipeline. It appears, if I can put the hand over, if the tech desk can put the hand over the parcel IA-CH-080.000, would this be one of the parcels affected in your family?
Yes, it is.
And then let's go down to, there appears to be a parcel IA-CH-081.000 that's owned by Marie J. Smith Revocable Trust. Is that also a parcel affected by in your family?
Yes, it is.
Who is Marie J. Smith?
My mother.
Now let's go on over to the east of that, and that's another parcel, IA-CH-082.000. Is that another parcel affected?
Yes.
And finally, going to the south of there, there is a parcel labeled IA-CH-083.000. Would that be another parcel affected in your family?
Yes, it is.
Have I accurately described the 4 parcels that appear to be affected by the Dakota Access pipeline, which is owned in your family?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you the same person who previously signed and submitted a written testimony in this matter?
Yes, I am.
And with respect to that written testimony, would there be any corrections that you want to make?
Yes, in the section Q,
All right, and what page are you on?
the very last page, just above my signature.
Okay, so which page are you at? Last page?
Last page.
Okay. And can you tell us, what does the question say?
Are there any concerns that you have about this proposed pipeline? Yes, and on the 160-acre parcel, there's quite a lot of history there.
Okay, so I see. This question leads to an answer as to some history on the parcel, correct?
Yes.
Now, you're the fellow who mentioned about Pony Express. Would that be right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to correct any testimony you've given there?
Yes, the schoolhouse that I referred to in this section was not a schoolhouse, it was a church. The pipeline, as it's proposed, goes right through the front doors of this church. It's not there anymore. But I cleared the rocks away from it. That was its foundation. And the Pony Express that I had mentioned isn't a part of the Wells Fargo Pony Express. It was only the stagecoach route that was used from between Cherokee and Peterson. And this was the place where they would change the teams of horses on the way to Cherokee, since both Cherokee and Peterson have large hills. They needed to change them in between. And this was just a local person who I don't know. So we need to correct that statement.
Are there any other corrections that you wish to make to your statement?
No, I think that's about all of them. I want to just reiterate that the first appointment with the Dakota Access representative I attended, that was done in the evening. I run a construction company, and the balance of them were handled by my wife. On the first appointment, however, we decided we didn't want to go any farther with this, since we didn't know anything about the pipeline at that time.
Okay. I think for as far as corrections go, it looks like we've got our corrections done, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next, as far as clarifications go, if I could get the map up on the screen again, thank you. What I'm going to do now, Mr. Smith, is I'm going to refer to all. Well, I'm going to go to parcel number IACH 080.000.
Okay.
As a matter of clarification, how many acres are on this parcel?
That's full quarter.
How many?
160 acres.
Okay, and then let's move the hand down to 081 parcel. How many acres are there?
That's 40.
And then to the right, 082.
That's a 40.
And then down to the bottom, 083. How many acres are there?
That's 80.
Now, with respect to all four of those parcels as they are represented there, are those parcels further subdivided in any way?
No.
Are there any streets or alleys which cut through those parcels?
There are. The part in the 40 where it drains from the north and goes down towards the Little Hand now,
Yeah.
that drains into Badger Creek.
Yep.
And the part that goes east here from that same intersection, after it gets over the little crown of the hill, it drains into the Maple River.
Okay, so let's have the hand go over the 082 parcel. I think, was it there that you were referring to?
Yes, that is the part that ends up down in the Badger Creek.
And with respect to parcel 082, well, first of all, before we get on to 082, are there any streets or alleys in any of the other parcels?
Yes.
Okay.
In the same 40, as you get over the knoll, there is a rise in the hill, or was before the last 2 summers that had 7 inches of rain, and it would go to the east, and that goes into the Maple River.
Okay. What kind of roads or alleys are you talking about? Are these private roads?
Yeah, just a height difference.
Okay. Are these at all publicly used in any way? In other words, is the public permitted to go across these roads that you refer to?
Yes.
Okay. So in 082, you have such a road, correct?
08. Right there. Yes, there actually is a waterway that follows just about right at the division of the 40s there, in which the waterway is there that drains the one that goes from the north road down to the section. From there on out, it drains to the west.
Okay.
Let the record show that the witness is pointing to 082 on the map.
Thank you. Let's go up to parcel number 080.
Mm-hmm.
You previously identified this as a 160-acre parcel. Are there any roads or alleys, public roads or alleys going through this parcel?
No public roads.
And if we can go down to parcel number 083, are there any public roads, streets, or
None.
alleys?
No.
Okay. And as a matter of clarification, with respect, I'm going to put this question as to all 4 parcels. Have those parcels been used for the production of agricultural commodities in 3 of the last 5 years?
Yes, they have.
What would that be?
That would be corn and soybeans.
And over that period of time, has there been any fertilizer placed on those 4 parcels?
Yes, there has. With the exception of the waterway that's down between the two at the 240s right there. That's approximately 50 to 100 feet wide, depends a little bit on the rainy seasons we've had.
Okay. Mr. Smith, thank you. I have no further questions, and I tender the witness.
Mr. Murray, before you go, so that I don't have to go through it, I would appreciate it if you would have the witness go through on his testimony where he talks about the corner piece and where he's suggesting that it be moved,
Sure.
so that there's an understanding, because obviously those are both his parcels. So I'm trying to figure out what his testimony means in that area.
Okay. I was going to leave that for him to address with your requested relief, but I'll go ahead
I'm
and...
asking you to do it.
Sure. I have no problem with that. Mr. Smith, the Chair Huser has referred to what you've asked for as far as the clipping of corners, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That may not be the exact words, but let's just go ahead and position the hand to where it is right now. Do you see where it is right now?
Yes, I do.
And for the record, if I can note, where it appears to be is located at the southwest corner of parcel IA-CH-080.000, a parcel you previously identified as a 160-acre parcel, correct?
Correct.
What are you asking the board to do with respect to routing of the pipeline in this area?
I would like to bring the place where it crosses the road here down to near the corner or at the corner and come diagonal across the corner, since it has to cross the road either up higher or lower, cross it at the intersection, and then it comes diagonal across the 40 to that location. It's going to be less hassle for me to go over that area and provide access for Dakota Access to get there than I. This part has been voluntarily surrendered to Dakota Access. That person has passed away, as well as this one.
And when you say that voluntary easement has been given, are you referring to the parcel that is to the west?
Yes.
And also, that would be to the west of 080 parcel, but also there appears to be a, well, I'm not sure. Strike that.
Mr. Murray, have you drawn out where that change would take place? So like if there was this map and then there was a black line that,
No,
could you do that?
I have not, but I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, then I'm going to come back to you in a minute to put that up.
Okay.
Is that all right? I think that would be more helpful so that we have it in the record as to what exactly he's asking for.
Okay.
Are you sure? Mr. Murray, the Technology Bureau is going to snip and clip and make a copy and let you do that, and we will come back to you in a minute. Mr. Lozier.
We have no questions.
Mr. Piazza. Mr. Dubinsky,
Subject to.
I agree. I'll come back if you have any questions and I'll ask you.
Thank you. No questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Pauly,
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Smith. We're back up here on top of the stage
Oh,
now,
okay.
so thank you. I just have one question. It goes to your testimony on page 3 where you talk about alternate routes. And my question is, you suggest a couple of alternate routes based on the property. At any time, did you ask Dakota Access to consider these alternate routes?
No, we have not had a very productive exchange between Dakota Access as I do construction, and that was during the day. And the only time I've met with them is the first time, and that was in the evening. And in the meantime, they have visited several times, I would say quite often, and talked with my wife, and we had decided we didn't want to let this pipeline go through our property.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I have a couple questions related to the clip corners, and I think once we get the map, we'll see on the full 160 acre parcel, you would like that moved down
To near the corner.
to near the corner, so it's not necessarily a clipped corner, but it's on the corner.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm going to have to hassle with it either way, so.
Sure. Now, on the other property, which is all the way to the south, which is
That 80.
IA-CH-083.000, would you have a similar request there to move it to the north to
the north.
completely eliminate that
That's also,
property altogether?
it sure clears up any hassle with the Dakota Access for my kids.
And about how many feet would that have to go to pull it off of that 160 acre parcel?
Oh, I'm thinking that was about maybe 150.
Okay.
And then the lower one that we looked at where the hand is now, that's probably only 50 or so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to ask you some questions just to
Okay.
fill in. Did you file any objections in this docket? To your knowledge, did you file any objections? Other than your testimony?
Oh, other than my testimony, no, I did not.
Okay. And do you have any plans for different use of this property in the future?
We had planned on my wife wanted to build a house right there, but no, she won't.
Can you tell me where you were pointing, sir? I've got to have it.
It wa-
Tell me the parcel number and then the directional area within that parcel. Or the Dakota Access number. Is it
From where the hand is, it's a quarter-mile north. Look up to the road.
so up to
Yeah,
490th?
Yeah, clear up there. And just a little bit to the east there, that's where the old housing site used to be.
Thank you.
And that was where she wants to build her house.
Were there any other plans for different use of the property in the future?
No,
Does your property have, we've talked about drainage tile, does it have any other installations?
only the rural water goes on the south side of the road.
And the south side of 490th?
Yes,
Are there any natural gas or other pipelines on the property?
no.
Mr. Murray, have you drawn out your map yet?
I'd like to consult with Mr. Smith to make sure it's,
We'll take a 10-minute break.
oh, thank you.
That's my. The Iowa Utilities Board is back in session. Mr. Murray, you have provided the board and all the parties with a proposed exhibit. I'm calling it Nyla Smith Exhibit. And what's your next number?
24.
Nyla Smith Exhibit 24. Is there any objection, Mr. Dubinsky, to the admission of the same?
There is not, Your Honor.
Nyla Smith Exhibit 24 has been offered and is admitted.
Mr. Smith, we're going to refer to this exhibit, Nyla Smith Exhibit 24, which is on the screen for the record, okay? And you're looking at it right now, is that right? Oh, we're having a hard time hearing you. We're going to turn that microphone on.
Shane? It's on. Go help. Can you help him, Nick?
There we go.
Okay.
All right, can we do a test?
Okay.
Please state your name.
William R. Smith.
All right. Shane, just turn his volume up just a bit. Okay. Mr. Murray.
Thank you. Now, on the screen, the pencil or pen is pointing at the parcel number 080. That's a parcel one of the 4 parcels we referred to before, correct?
Yes.
And now let's move that pencil down to the southwest corner of this parcel here. Now, there appears to be the original pipeline route in red, and then also another dotted or dashed line that is moved to the south a little bit. Would that be right?
That's right.
Is this the proposal that you have for the board?
Yes.
And to be clear, going back to that southwest corner, you have given some consideration to requesting that the line go kitty corner to the parcel down across the corner and to the southwest. You've given that some consideration.
Yes, I have.
Now, to be clear, are you asking the board to move it to that parcel that would be to the southwest of that corner?
Not to the southwest.
Okay, you are asking the board if this is to be going on, you'd keep that line on your parcel.
That's correct.
As a part of, okay. Now, with respect to the location, it's my understanding that the permanent pipeline easement has a width of 50 feet. So I'm going to be referring to that, okay?
Yes.
Is it, and if I can be permitted to lead you on a little bit here.
I don't believe Mr. Dubinsky will object.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So with respect to the exact location of this proposed route, are you suggesting that the width of this 50-foot pipeline easement would go as close as possible to the corner, the southwest corner of this parcel?
That's correct.
With respect to the angle in which this line comes into this corner from the west, would you be okay if it came in at a different angle?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure whether that is going to intersect the 45, and I don't think they are either.
Okay. Now, as we carry on from this point to the east and a little bit to the south, the dotted line then proceeds across parcel number 081, owned in your mother's trust's name, is that right?
Yes.
And then it proceeds further, and the pen then will show us that it goes across 082, is that right?
Yes.
And then if we can keep on going to the southeast corner of 082, where the pen is located now, it appears that the route appears to be a little further north as you've proposed it from the original pipeline route, is that right?
That's correct.
But why would you want to move it north?
I wanted to get it off of this section of 083 for my kids so they don't have to hassle with it in the future.
So again, leading you on a little bit here, would I be correct in saying that All right, we'll restate that. Do you have any care as to where it exits parcel 082?
I don't really care other than just so the 50-foot is on the original 082
And none on 083?
and none on 083.
Now, Madam Chair, I think I've covered that subject matter within my direct that I was allowed to clarify. Is there anything else I need to clean up?
No, I appreciate Mr. Dubinsky allowing us to do that, and I only have the last question.
Okay.
So may I proceed?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, is there anything else that you can tell the board that you're looking for as it relates to relief?
Well, I sure don't want it to go to eminent domain. I would like to just cancel the whole deal at this point.
I understand that. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the board?
No, just that it's been in my family for a long time.
I understand. Mr. Murray?
I have no further, no redirect to this witness.
Your Honor, can I ask one question about the
Yeah.
new exhibit?
Yes, Mr. I did offer that.
Oh, and understand.
Mr. Dubinsky?
And just to clarify, Mr. Smith, on parcel 080, which is the northernmost parcel there,
Mm-hmm.
would do you understand that we would need adequate workspace without that having to be on the parcel diagonal from that where the pen is now, to be able to avoid involving a new parcel there?
Yes,
And
and I think that's why we have it drawn, so that you can have your workspace north of where you lay the pipeline for your caterpillars or whatever. I don't know whether that's the side you're going to dig on or not, but hopefully you can boom over and do that.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Murray?
I have no redirect on that.
Mr. Smith, it's been a pleasure. You may step down.
Thank you.
For the record, my next witness will be Stephen Hickenbottom as we temporarily break.
Thank you. Good morning. Please raise your right arm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated. Mr. Murray?
Please state your name.
My name is Stephen Hickenbottom.
And with the assistance of the technology desk and looking at the screen, I'm going to have you identify what appears to be a parcel IA-WA-061.300. Do you see where that's at?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that a parcel that is owned somehow by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and appears that that's affected by the proceedings today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It appears that that's in the name of Hickenbottom Experimental Farms, Inc. Would that be right?
Yes, sir.
And what is your relationship to that corporation?
I am president of the corporation and owner, half owner.
As am I. Shane, are you able to turn the witnesses' volume up? Okay, now
That better?
that is better.
I'll
Yeah.
try to speak up too.
Thank you very much.
Did you need the question again?
Yes.
Can you explain your relationship with Hickenbottom Experimental Farms, Inc.?
Partial owner and president of Hickenbottom Corporation, Hickenbottom Experimental Farm.
How many owners are in that corporation?
There are my brother and myself.
Your brother and yourself?
Yes, sir.
And what's your brother's name?
Mark.
Are you the same person who previously signed and submitted written testimony in this matter?
Yes, sir, I am.
Have you filed or caused to have filed any letters expressing your objection to the pipeline?
No, sir, I have not.
Okay. Back to your written testimony, are there any corrections you want to make to your statement?
Not that I can think of.
And when I say statement, your written testimony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are no corrections? Is that right? Double negative.
No, I have no corrections.
Okay. As far as clarifications go, with respect to the parcel that's on the screen, how many acres is in this parcel?
There's approximately 140 to 50 acres there.
And with respect to the parcel as it shows, and again, we're referring to IA-WA-061.300, has this parcel been further subdivided?
No, sir, it has not.
Is the parcel have any public streets or alleys going through it at all?
No, sir, it does not.
Has this parcel been used for the production of agricultural commodities in the past 5 years?
Yes, sir, it has.
What type of commodities?
Corn, soybean rotation.
Over that period of time, has there been placed any fertilizer?
Yes, sir, there has.
Now, I'm going to refer generally without having this exhibit placed on the screen. But have you had a chance to refer to any right-of-way agent notations or notes prepared by Dakota Access in this case? Yes or no? Have you had a chance to
Yes.
review? Okay. And for the record, would it be a portion of Exhibit KLJ1? Dakota Access Confidential Exhibit KLJ1?
Yes, yes.
Now, without getting into the details of that document, but generally speaking, do you believe those notes completely and accurately depict all the negotiations between yourself and Dakota Access?
No, they do not.
Okay, generally speaking, again, generally, how would you disagree?
There were multiple phone calls, sometimes multiple times a day to my cell phone that were not listed in that filing, that to my recollection.
Okay. Now, because I may have missed other things, would there be anything else that you wanted to note for the record about your comments on this Exhibit KLJ1 as it relates to your negotiations?
I can't think of anything at this time.
I asked the question just to clarify. I couldn't remember myself. I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier,
We have no questions.
Mr. Piazza,
I have no questions.
Mr. Dubinsky,
No questions?
Mr. Polly,
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs,
I have no questions.
Mr. Wagner,
I have no questions.
Mr. Hickenbottom, you've heard me state that the board has a number of questions that we're asking all of the landowners that are testifying.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you have any plans for a different use of the property in the future?
other than one spot we had left to put a pond and have a place where you could put a house. Other than that, no other developments.
Is that location
It
along the
would
pipe?
be, it would be just east of the right of way in the southeast corner. If you keep going to just north, right about in there.
Would this pipeline prohibit you from building your house there?
Wouldn't prohibit the house, but it would prohibit the lake.
Does the property have drainage tile or other installations?
Yes, there's a lot of tile on the farm.
Are there any natural gas or other pipelines on the property?
No, ma'am, there are not.
Any rural water, any?
Rural water,
Does the pipeline cross any of the rural water locations?
I would think it would, yes.
But for the record, you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
What's your corn suitability rating on that farm?
I'm not for sure right now.
So as it relates to your testimony, can you summarize for the board what you're looking for in terms of relief?
Well, number one, I'd like for you not to allow this to go through. I would like for it, if it does go through, not to go through my property. I just think the overall approach of this has been less than desirable for the farmers involved, and I think there needs to be compensation to the people that are involved that are going through this. None of the farmers that I've talked to that's come to this are getting paid. Everybody else is getting paid. From Dakota Access that came and made the phone calls and one thing and another, and I wasn't looking for this kind of a thing to be involved to. So, and I don't think if there's compensation that's not big enough, I don't think we're ever going to drive a point home that they shouldn't do this. To go through and offer them to pay them up front if they let them go through and sign the easement, that's a pretty good bluff in poker. And I'm sure that I think there'd be a lot of people that would maybe reconsider their signing up if they were asked today, would they do it again?
Can you tell me the name? Did you have multiple land agents that you worked with? You've stated that the information that's in you do not agree with the information that's in confidential KLJ1. Did you have multiple land agents?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you think the board should know?
The first land agent that made his first contact with me, I think his name was Brad, and he was very cordial. And I invited him to my house. We sat down and went over different things to help him out. And he made the comment that since I was cooperative with them, they would try to do everything they could. And from then on, it's pretty much gone south.
Okay. Mr. Murray?
I need you to follow up on that. When you say gone south, what do you mean?
The pressure and the phone calls and the threat of eminent domain was pretty regular.
And when you say threat of eminent domain, what do you mean by that?
Well, either sign the easement or they're going to take it by eminent domain.
This is what you've had to deal with?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you for your time. You may step down. Mr. Murray, your next witness.
Brent Jesse.
Please raise your right arm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated, Mr. Jesse. Mr. Murray?
Thank you. Mr. Jesse, I'll let you get situated there.
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
Brent Jesse.
And with the assistance of the technology desk and looking at the screen, can you identify the parcels that appear to be affected as you've described in your testimony?
Yes. You got to move south.
So the
Who's ever
hand,
running it?
you're saying the hand needs to move south?
Yep.
Okay.
That's my cousin's property that you're on.
Okay.
Now keep moving.
Over to the right?
There, right there.
All right. So let's let the record reflect that the hand is now on a parcel ERN Enterprises Inc. and I labeled as IA-BU-097.000. Would this be one of the parcels in your family's name?
Yes.
I'll stop right there. To be clear, on this map, if we can keep the hand where it's at, previously there was, the hand was located to the east of there. Would that be right? And you were identifying your cousins, is that right?
Yeah,
So you have cousins' land in the area as well. Would that be right?
that is correct.
But you're not here to testify on behalf of those cousins.
No.
And that would be Sheila Jesse is, I think, the one that's listed there, right?
Yes, and
No.
also Jesse Farm.
Yeah. So you're not testifying on behalf of Jesse Farm or Sheila Jesse, right?
Correct, I am not.
And I appreciate the ability to go with leading questions here. Let's move the hand down to the next parcel to the south. This appears to be IA-BU-096.000. Is this also a parcel in your family's name?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we move the hand down to the southeast.
Further.
Okay, right there.
Yep.
And that appears to be positioned over parcel number IA-BU-105.000. Is this also another parcel in your family?
Yes.
Okay. So would that be correct? Those are the three parcels we're talking about today?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are you the same person who previously signed and submitted written testimony in this matter?
Yes.
Did you file any letters of objection with the Iowa Utilities Board?
No.
With respect to the direct testimony, though, that you submitted for today, would there happen to be any corrections to that document that you want to note for the record?
No.
Okay. With respect to clarifications, I think you've identified these parcels as 3 properties on page 1 of your direct testimony, and I'd like to seek some clarification of these properties, okay?
Okay.
As it relates to the parcel number 097, and I'm going to use shorthand here, how many acres are in the 097 parcel?
Approximately 42.
And in the parcel identified as, I think it's 096, how many acres are in that?
Approximately 27.
And down in the parcel number 105, how many acres are in that?
160.
Okay. And with respect to each of these parcels, as they appear, have they been subdivided at all?
No.
Okay. Are there any public streets or alleys going through those parcels at all?
No.
Have these parcels been used for the production of agricultural commodities in the last 5 years?
Yes.
What kind of commodities?
Corn and soybean rotation.
And has there been fertilizer used on these parcels?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I think that's it. I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier?
No questions.
Mr. Piazza?
No questions.
Mr. Dublinsky?
No questions?
Mr. Pauly?
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs?
I have no questions.
Mr. Wagner. Mr. Jesse, the board has a number of questions that we're going to complete, and the first one is, do you have any plans for different use of the property in the future?
No.
Does the property have drainage, tile, or other installations?
Yes.
Yes on the drainage tile. Does it have other installations?
Yes, the 105, I believe there is a phone line that the proposed pipeline will cross on the number 97. There is a water line, a rural water line along the road. There's phone line along the road too.
Is there anything on parcel 96?
Yeah, they're the same. Yeah, they would all.
You believe that there may be
I'll-
both rural water and
Yeah,
telephone?
it follows the fence line there.
I know it can be difficult when we have multiple properties that are separated. Do you have any natural gas or other pipelines on your property?
No.
You have stated in your testimony that you are wishing to avoid a waterway. Can you show me that waterway and where you're talking about on
It'd
the
be
map?
on number
And-
105, right where, move the hand closer to the road and go up right on top of, right there. There is a grassed waterway that we established on our own. It's not a part of a CRP thing. We established that on our own for erosion control. When we get heavy rains, when we get rain of any significance, there's culverts underneath that road that come from the opposite side of the road to ours. We're on the downstream side of it. Water comes through there. We get heavy enough rains, water comes over the road. That's how much water comes across there. I had told one of the agents that we cannot disturb that for erosion protection.
And what was the response?
None.
At what point in time in this process did you inform the agent of that information? And I don't need an exact date. A month would be helpful.
February.
And since February, has anyone been back to talk to you about
There's been,
the erosion control?
yes, we've met a couple times since then.
Have there been alternative proposals provided to you?
None.
Who was your land agent?
Starting when?
That's a great question. How about February?
We've had a Walt, a Mike, a Jim, a Doug, a Joe, a Richard, and a Keith called supposedly one time, and Lowell. I believe that time was Joe.
Kind of hard to keep track of that, isn't it?
Very difficult. And especially when you get different people, there are different comments made.
So setting aside, and I know this is also difficult, but if you could for me, set aside the issue of not wanting it. If you had a waterway on 105 that you wanted to avoid and you were doing the construction, where would you move it? Where would you move the pipeline?
Either north or south.
Is there an easy way for you to describe how far north or how far south? Keep in mind, I'm making the assumption in this hypothetical that it stays on your property.
Okay. I suppose, looking at it now, or on the map here, if it was moved north, then their workspace and their road crossing equipment would avoid that waterway.
Is there anything else on this parcel or the other two parcels that you want the board to know should be considered if the proposed pipeline were approved?
At this same, basically on that, in the center of that 105, there's a county tile. And
So yeah, tell me more. I have a
There's-
county tile.
there's a county tile there. And then there are also, we have our own field tile in that field in addition to that.
Could you please tell the board the difference between your personal tile and a county tile?
The county tile is maintained by the county, but everybody within that drainage district pays for any upkeep or improvements that need to be made on the county tile. It's percentaged out how much land you have in that drainage district and how much of that tile takes care of your farm.
So if you have a drainage district, do county tiles fall within the drainage district, at least for your county?
For that particular one, I can say yes.
All right.
And I'm sure
But I
it's
can't
standard
just-
across
Okay.
Iowa.
That's what I wanted to know, so that if I collect that information, I'm going to keep it, the drainage districts include county tiles. I want to make sure that's correct.
Okay.
Are you aware of whether your county supervisors have hired a county inspector?
I believe it's the INS group.
So they have hired, they've interviewed, they've met with.
I've heard that's who they were going to go with. Whether they did it or not, I'm not completely sure.
All right. My last question, just for my own purposes. So I have 3 pieces of property. I understand that you have relationships with some of the other landowners. The piece that's in between 105 and 99, that's a voluntary easement. Is that property owned by an individual or a legal entity? Or a
I
governmental
think the
entity?
daughter has it now.
Okay. Is there anything else that you wish to tell the board?
Yes. As far as the exhibit KLJ,
And keep in mind, this is a reminder, it is a confidential document, so I would ask that you, if you don't know, I'm going to let you talk to Mr. Murray and then make sure that what you're saying for the record is appropriate.
May I?
Yes.
We're good.
Yes, I think so.
Mr. Jesse, you may proceed.
Okay, the last negotiations that I and my brother had with, at that time, it was Lowell Wyatt, was July 14th of 2015. In this confidential, it's page 421, on July 27th of 2015, it says a voicemail was left for Brent Jesse, asking that he please return my call to discuss the answers that I have obtained
Your Honor,
concerning.
I can.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Do you have an objection?
Yeah. Well, my understanding with counsel was that all he was going to do was refer to the note and the date and the event. Reading the content in probably does get into confidential parts of the document. I don't think Mr. Murray disagrees.
I apologize.
No, that's fine. And the board chair is not going to forget the date. So
Mr. Blinks is totally correct, and I think Mr. Jesse has conveyed the part of the note on July 27 that's relevant for his comment.
So I'm going to restate.
Okay.
The last time you had any conversation or heard anything was from a Lowell Wyatt on July 14th. And there are notes
Correct.
from July 27th, and you're stating that that's not true.
There was no message left.
Okay.
Or no other contact since
Do you need
then.
us to know anything more than that?
Pertaining to that or the rest of the project?
Pertaining to this point only right now.
To this point only? No.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the board? And I'm allowing a lot of leeway in this area, but I would prefer that it's to the property and to your testimony.
Our family's farm is on the line here. I would like to be able to voice my opinion.
You may proceed.
I mean,
Go ahead.
okay. I'll try and summarize this. It's regarding tile.
All right.
I understand that there may be a 2-foot separation maintained below and above the pipeline. This pipeline's 30 inches. So that amounts to 78 inches that we cannot put a tile, I'm going to refer to it as tile block. I'm 6'2", 4 inches more than I. Where that pipe goes through, no tile can go through that zone. If this pipeline is installed, it will create a permanent barrier. Most farms in the area have field drainage tile, if not all, in my area anyway. And with that tile block, this 78-inch or 6 foot, 6-inch forever barrier is going to impede any tile or watersheds that are involved that cross this pipeline. Therefore, well, I think the farmer, the tenant, operator, landlord, all the above, should have the opportunity to be present if this pipeline does go through. In regards to specifically tile, but other instances. The property owner or tenant needs to be present at all stages of the construction of the pipeline, repair and replacing any tile. There may be instances that arise. Every farm's different. There might be a couple different things on different farms. The landowner needs to be involved into what's going on out there. Most farmers, or I should say, most all farmers work around large machinery. Most all farmers have been around trenches. We've done it safely. So as to exclude us from being present when this is being installed on our farm, it's going to be there permanently. I feel we have the right to be there to make sure everything gets done like it should. We own the land. That should be our right. Like I stated, this tile block, it just doesn't affect our farm, or it just doesn't affect the area it goes through. It affects other parts of our farm as well as our neighbors' farms. And the same holds true, and that pipeline goes through downstream of my farm. What that neighbor does or doesn't do in regards to this project affects me and everybody up and down the stream, the tile systems. And in regards to eminent domain, if this hammer wouldn't have been out there, I agree with, I believe one of the other gentlemen said the same thing, that there probably would not have been as many signups for this as there was. And in regards still to the eminent domain, the forefathers of this great state of Iowa when they wrote that eminent domain. I don't believe they intended it for a newly created puppet company in Delaware, a puppet company of Texas, to use this as a way.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on the basis of speculation and ask that the answer be struck.
Mr. Murray?
I think that the answer, as it references the word puppet, I would agree, for the record, can be struck.
Well, I'm speaking with regard to speculation on the forefathers and their intentions also.
Mr. Piazza, you're going to have to restate because we all can't hear you. You need to use your mic.
You know, my objection is also based on the speculation as to what the forefathers' intentions were.
Madam Chair, I think my client wants to speak his piece. I think he wants to comment on eminent domain as its use against his property. So we're going to stand on that. But I'll take off the word puppet.
Mr. Piazza, we are striking the word puppet from the testimony, and the witness may continue.
The company, Dakota Access Limited Liability Company. That should be a big red flag right there. There needs to be adequate insurance for all landowners involved as to any spills or any occurrences associated with that pipeline in the normal operation of farm machinery.
Do you have anything further?
I've got a lot more, but I appreciate you listening to what I did say.
Your Honor, if
Mr. Dubinsky.
if I may ask, obviously you've given the landowners a lot of opportunity to talk about whatever they want at the end, and because that occasionally goes beyond the direct testimony rather than objecting to that, I would ask if I might have some brief supplemental cross.
Mr. Murray?
I have no problem with that.
Mr. Dubinsky, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jesse, you were talking about your concerns about the 30-inch tile and then the 2 feet above and the 2 feet below. Have you either been present or been watching online for the remainder of this hearing?
No, I have not.
Okay. Are you aware that the 2-foot separation is applicable to Dakota Access for the planning, but is not applicable to the landowner? So, for example, if you wanted to do additional tile work or put in additional tile, that 2 feet to either side of the pipe is available for you to use. Are you aware of that?
I'm going to, before the witness answers,
Yes, Mr. Murray.
I remember testimony that referenced PHMSA, I believe it was PHMSA standards or some federal standards. However, I don't believe that testimony permitted a landowner to go right up next to the pipeline, as the question suggests. And maybe if the questioner can restate that question.
Sure. I believe what Mr. Murray is referring to is a 2-inch separation as opposed to a 2-foot separation. Are you aware that the remainder of that 2 feet is an obligation that Dakota Access has taken on but does not apply to the landowner?
No, I was not, but I feel a 2-foot separation is fine in most circumstances, because the reason why is I want to make sure that the pipeline is going to be deep enough so it does not interfere with any current tile any current tile maintenance or any future plans of tile. Want to make sure that that is below grade. Because when I asked one of your land agents, those specific, I think I've asked that question maybe a couple different ones of, and I kind of got a different answer on how deep this thing was going to be.
I don't have
And-
anything further, Your Honor.
One other thing, Dakota Access was not aware of any tile in the state of Iowa.
Mr. Jesse, just, you have to answer, one of the rules is that you answer the question, you can't continue it after.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Mr. Jesse, are you aware of whether your county supervisors, you have stated INS, or is that correct? But you don't know for sure whether they've negotiated with them or done anything to enter into any type of contract, are you?
No.
Okay. I'm very familiar with the fact that we allow a great deal of leeway with our farmers in the state of Iowa as it relates to the construction and activities that they can perform. I'm interested in knowing from you, as it relates specifically to the tile lines and other installments on your property, as to who you would trust to make sure that the construction and remediation or our ag impact mitigation plan are followed appropriately. That's question one.
Okay, now, what are my options?
I'm wanting to know who you do trust to, so what are your options? It's any option.
Okay,
You have
all
any
right.
option. Who would it be if it weren't you?
My tile contractor.
And for my information, my experience is that there's certain tile guys that are more familiar with some counties than other counties. Is that your experience?
Yeah, if you get a local guy, they know the terrain and they know the topography and they know.
Would the county supervisors know that?
I think they'd have a pretty good idea, but whether they're an expert or not, I wouldn't say that. No.
If there was language in the ag impact mitigation plan that stated this is the process to follow for during that construction. Have you seen the construction timeline map
Yes.
that we've put up? Who would the board be able to cite that says, here's the process for tile that we want to make sure is followed?
Every farm's a little bit different.
I understand that.
The farmer needs to be present and involved if there is something that arises. You just can't say this is how it's got to be done. So if you can write it down some way that gives flexibility, John could probably write something up that would probably work.
Well, Mr. Murray sets our brakes too, so. I have no further questions.
Your
Mr.
Honor.
Murray,
On the,
are you wanting me to come back to, do you have another question, Mr. Dubinsky?
I have one more, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Jesse, in addition to land agents, isn't it true that you've also met with the Dakota Access construction manager,
What's his name?
Jack Edwards?
Yes?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Can I stipulate something?
Oh,
Yes.
Mr. Murray will assist you with that. Mr. Murray?
Did you want to explain something about the communication with Mr. Edwards?
That was in the summer of 2014, I believe is what the gentleman over there is referring to. Then I did see him again at the public meeting at the Buena Vista University.
And what was discussed?
At which time?
Okay.
My- Okay, tile has always been my big concern.
So was that what was discussed generally speaking with Mr.
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
And was there anything else generally speaking that you spoke with Mr. Edwards about?
He
Besides
might have
tile?
mentioned something about the land standards, or what do you call them?
Okay.
I don't recall what all exactly, but I
Did-
know my main questions to him was concerning tile.
Did Mr. Edwards resolve your concerns?
He said to get it in the easement.
You had to get it in the easement.
That's one of the things he said.
And did he work with you about the easement language? Or was that somebody else?
No,
So by your answer, did somebody else deal with you on the easement language?
I mentioned to him,
Besides, did Mr. Edwards deal with you on the easement language?
no,
Okay. So he referred you to somebody else about getting it in the easement. My question is were you able to get it into the easement with
No.
someone else?
No.
You were, I have to ask, you were also asked by Mr. Dubinsky about the 2-foot versus 2-inch separation, and I think you wanted to explain something. Can you explain what you were getting at there?
the pipeline needs to be deep enough. Every farm's going to be different, but the pipeline on our 3 farms, I'll back up. On our 3 farms, if we were to maintain and/or fix, replace, or install new tile, our tile, the bottom of our tile would be 5.5 foot deep. To maintain, so in that instance there, a 2-foot separation I feel is fine. For safety reasons.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Jesse, you may step down. Mr. Murray, can you tell me your next 3 witnesses?
They'll be in this order. Mr. Lenhart, Mr. Kunz, and Mr. Goebel.
Okay, if we can have Mr. Lenhart mic'd up, we will take a 10-minute break and return for Mr. Lenhart.
stacking. I can hear the knock.
I need to wait for your attorney. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated. As a housekeeping matter, everyone should have received a copy of the exhibit list. Is that accurate? If not, Mr. Sandgren?
Yeah. I believe in the exhibit list, there,
What I don't want to do any corrections right now. I'm going to let everybody look at them over the lunch.
Okay.
And then we'll come back at that point.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure everybody has a sheet. All right. Mr. Murray?
Thank you. Mr. Lenhart, please state your name for the record.
Patrick Lenhart?
And I'm going to do this in a little different order. Have you caused to have filed a written testimony in this matter?
Yes, I've subjected a written testimony.
Okay, we're going to come back to that. But I believe your testimony refers to a parcel in this matter, which perhaps is going to be on the screen. And here is the screen that shows a map. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, we're going to have the hand, well, it's already there. Appears to be positioned over parcel number IA-BU-073.000. Would I have that correct?
Yes.
Is this the parcel that you're here to talk about?
Yes.
And to be clear, it shows 4 different co-owners on this parcel. Is that right?
That's right.
It's Patrick Lenhart, that's yourself, along with Michael Lenhart, that would be your brother, correct?
Correct.
And thank you for the leading here. Carol would be your wife, is that right?
Yep, and Retha is Mike's wife.
Okay. Now, are there any corrections to your written testimony?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to go through the farmland colloquy here, but are there any other clarifications within your testimony that you would want to provide the board?
No.
Okay. And now, I'm going to refer generally, without putting it on the screen, to a Dakota Access Exhibit KLJ1, which it contained in part some right-of-way notes pertaining to your parcel. You received those notes, if I had that right, correct?
Yes, we did.
In directing your attention to, I believe, well, is there anything in there that you would want to say did not accurately depict your negotiations?
Yes, just in regards to some of the things my brother had told him. In here, there's...
Now, hold on. I need to be careful here. Please state the page number that you're referring to on that exhibit, if you would.
Page number 636.
And then what's the date on that document?
April 9th of 2015.
And so my question was whether the right-of-way notes accurately depict the negotiations between yourself on this parcel and Dakota Access. As I understand it, you've identified this document as something you take issue with. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Without saying the words in this document, can you explain to the board what you take issue with?
Just there's some exclamation points behind some of the things that my brother said and some other things written in bold type. Making it look like that he had maybe raised his voice or was trying to get something strongly across, and that was not his. In all the dealings, we've always tried to be very cordial and maintain politeness and a correctness with dealing with people. So he took issue with the fact that some of that stuff was in bold type and exclamation points were used.
I'm going to have a question for the chair at this point. My question for the chair is, I'm going to submit this witness here is going to be he's going to be requesting rerouting, and if I can suggest that I ask questions about that rather than the board doing that. for everybody's sake, so that Mr. Dublinsky can cross, and
Do you have a map?
we're going to refer to an exhibit.
All
that
right.
I'm going to ask the.
Mr. Dublinsky?
No objections, Your Honor.
Mr. Murray, you may proceed.
I'm going to have the technology chair publish NILA exhibit number 12. And going down to the second page there, this is a map that is associated with your direct testimony. Would I have that right, Mr. Linhart?
Yes. Excuse me.
And can you identify those what appear to be rectangular buildings to the south there?
Yeah, so that's our turkey operation.
Okay. And so we have, let's go to the top building. That's one of the buildings there, the north building, is that right?
Correct.
And then going down to the next one, and that's the second building to the south, right?
Yes.
And then we just go on right on down here. There's 4 different buildings. Do I have that right?
Along with the old Brewder House off to the east side.
So the old Brewder House, for the record, is a building that is positioned north-south and to the east of the 4 rectangular buildings you previously identified. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Now, for the record, we had previously identified your parcel number as parcel, in this action, parcel number IA-BU-073.000. If I could be permitted to lead a little bit here, that parcel is the parcel located to the north of those buildings, correct?
Yes.
All right. When did you first see this map?
When they had a meeting at the college in Storm Lake, and that's when they had probably one of the most accurate ones as far as measurements.
And which meeting? Because there's been a couple of meetings in Storm Lake. Are you referring to the one in December of 2014?
Yes, December 3rd, 2014.
Okay. Did you receive this map at that time?
No, that one they brought out when, well, they could have. I can't remember for sure on that.
But in any event, you came into possession of this map at some point in time.
Yeah, then or shortly after.
Okay. Now, it appears that it looks like there's a pipeline route located on where the hand is on what I will call the north parcel, or parcel IA-BU-073.000, correct?
Yes.
And as you have the line going, or the hand going to the right, can you identify the road that goes north-south to the east?
That is US Highway 71.
Okay. Now, if you can attempt to identify, moving the hand back to the west or the left, right, go back to the east, right there. If you were to be able to identify, and moving the hand to the south side of that, right there, go up north a little bit, right there. If you could attempt to identify the distance from that area where the hand is at, which appears to be the south part of the pipeline easement, as it's shown on NILA Exhibit 12. If you can approximate, how far is it from there to the North Turkey building?
Approximately 339 feet.
That's a pretty specific number. Where did you get that number?
I'm referring to this map I have with me.
Okay, now you're referring to a map that you have right in front of you there.
Yes.
Okay, now that's not in evidence, so we're going to have to work as best as we can here. First of all, when did you have this map that's in front of you produced?
On December 1st.
Okay. What was the purpose of that?
Just so when I was up here talking, I could be more specific on numbers.
All right. Who prepared it?
It was a INS group in Storm Lake.
Okay. Now, your direct testimony mentions that there is a future development of turkey barns, as I understand it, that you're contemplating. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many turkey barns are contemplated?
The most we would do there would be 3.
And those would be 3 located where?
To the north of the existing buildings.
And when we talk about those buildings, would they be then parallel to those 4 that are already there?
Yes.
And then starting with the southernmost building, would that building start on what would be IA-BU-073.000
Yes, that property.
to the north?
Yep.
Okay. How much room would you need for just the buildings?
Each barn, there's 100 feet of space between them. And then the buildings are 65 feet wide.
Okay. So if by my math, 65 times 3 is 195 feet. Would that be right?
Yeah.
Well,
I believe your math.
yeah, I'm sorry. We've had some math problems in this hearing, and I apologize for testing you. And you mentioned there's a 100-foot separation that's necessary between buildings?
Yeah, but that's there usually to get the proper airflow between the barns.
So then, on the southernmost building, would that be on the south part of that southernmost building that's contemplated? Would that be located right on the line, the property line?
Yes.
Okay. You could put the barn right there on that line.
Yep, the first one would be, and that's approximately, well, it would be 100 feet from the northernmost barn,
Okay.
existing barn.
All right. All right. So we have where the hand is there. Let's go. Let's proceed north 65 feet. Okay. That's the first barn that we can visualize. Correct.
Yes.
And then we go another 100 feet for separation. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, would the hand need to go further north?
Yeah, we'd have to add another 65 feet for the second one,
All right.
and another 100 feet of separation.
And then another 65 feet for the third barn.
Correct.
And then would you need another 100 feet to the north of that?
Yes, we'd usually try to put some type of area where there isn't crop ground right up next to it. Again, if the corn gets too tall, that slows air movement. So we have 100 feet north of that third existing barn.
So it appears that there needs to be, for these 3 barns, about 500 feet. My calculation is 495 feet on the southern portion of your property. Would that be right?
Yes, approximately.
Now, are you asking for a further distance to the north on the pipeline than that?
Yes, not permanently, but the buildings we are proposing to build, they have dirt floors or pads under them, and sometimes we have to go away from that area to get dirt to fill in to make the pad. The ground further north is higher ground, and that's area where we would go to get what they call borrow soil. It's just strip the black dirt away from the top, take that soil and move it to where we need to build the pads, and then put the soil back on top of the borrow area and then farm over that eventually.
So then how far north would you need to be to avoid that borrow?
At this point, we're estimating around 1,000 feet, but
Then how far north would you need to be to avoid that borrow?
at this point, we're estimating around 1,000 feet, but to get it really on the money, we'd probably have to get an engineer to find out how far we'd have to go.
Now, to be clear, have you communicated this information to Dakota Access as you've negotiated with them?
Yeah, from day one, that as soon as we seen the actual map at the college that had the measurements, that was one of our concerns, and we talked to one of the representatives at that meeting about the close proximity of the pipeline to our existing farm.
One more area of clarification. It appears that, as it's shown on the map on NILA Exhibit 12, there is a road crossing on Highway 71 that's appears to be pretty far south on your parcel. Are you also asking that road crossing to similarly move north as well?
Yes, I think we want to have that line go further north and then turn and run south and then turn again to run back across the road.
So do you mean, so if I'm clarifying, are you okay or not okay with the road crossing happening there as it's represented in this map, or are you asking the board to move the road crossing further north?
We'd like that moved further north also.
Okay. With that clarification, is there,
Yeah. Can we go to the full overview map? Oops.
I'm lost.
I need you to go in a little bit. For your property, so Mr. Murray, who owns the property? I want to know if that goes north, does that then incorporate new parcels or
Oh,
voluntary
I
Will
can
you
get into
please-
that.
Okay.
I can get into that. Okay. Now, the hand right now is over your subject parcel. Do we have that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the chair is going to want to go to the east, but I'm going to first go to the west. The hand now is on the parcel to the west, which is parcel number IA-BU-071.000. That's, to your knowledge, owned by Citizens First National Bank of Storm Lake. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did they sign an easement?
No, they have not.
Okay. Now, let's go to, put the hand now to the, it will be the east of your parcel, right there. To your knowledge, who owns that parcel?
I believe that's Chuck and Sharon Eady.
Yeah, coincidentally former sheriff of Buena Vista County, is that right?
Yes.
And he, to your knowledge, has signed an easement. Would that be correct?
That's my understanding.
Now, if I can test your math, and I mind, in a mile, there's 5,280 feet, correct?
Correct.
Now, when I look at your parcel there, that's a half mile from north to south. Will that be right?
On the very north end, there's 10 acres that shouldn't be on this map.
Okay.
That's not owned by us.
Okay, so it actually lists land that's not owned by you on the north part where the hand is at, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, that being as it may, as the map shows, it appears to show a half-mile stretch from north to south. Is that right?
Yes.
And if I could do the math for you, I think that's 2,640 feet. That would be a half mile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
So then we go to Chuck and Sharon's parcel to the east. Going from north to south on their parcel, I think we got to go half again there. And that would be 1,320 feet from north to south on theirs, right?
Yes.
So then what you're proposing is to move that road crossing 1,000 foot north. Is that right? Approximately.
Approximately.
Or actually 1,000 foot north of your southeast corner of your parcel, right?
Correct. The south or west one, so we can get the the 3 buildings in there.
As well as the borrow area to the north with the
Yes.
borrowing of the dirt from the knob. It would appear that that road would still cross the Eddy parcel and directly into the Eddy parcel, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Dubinsky.
We have given Mr. Murray a lot of leeway, and I kept thinking he was going to come back to actually asking the
He's doing
questions.
this because I asked him to. So now state your objection.
He is doing a lot of leading and testifying as opposed to letting the witness answer the question. I mean, I understand you told him to get into the subject matter, but it's just the fact that we need the witness to testify, not the lawyer.
You know,
Mr. Murray.
I just wanted to lead him through the math, and but I do appreciate the ability to lead to get, for matter of brevity, I'm going to withdraw the question and just let the board take it, because I think the board knows what we've got here.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
I tender the witness.
Thank you. Mr. Lozier?
No questions.
Mr. Piazza?
No question.
Mr. Dubinsky?
Thank you, Your Honor. Are we still morning? Good morning, Mr. Lenhart.
Good morning.
It's, how many head is your current turkey operation?
We have the capacity for 150,000 at one time.
Do you have an EPA permit for that?
An EPA permit. We have state permits. We don't have that many on the farm at one time. We have capacity for 150,000. Each, we have a setup for 3 groups. Do you want me to get into this? Or?
Actually, I can shorten it up first, and then if you want to get into it. How many head do you have on the farm at a time? And maybe that's where you were going.
We have 2 groups on the farm at one time, which would be around 100,000, approximately.
Is it considered a CAFO? A concentrated animal feeding operation?
Yes.
On the move, to be clear, if I was listening to the math right, you would need about 495, about 500 feet to clear the proposed additional buildings. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. And the rest of the move had to do with the knob that you want to borrow soil from, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that there are limitations on the ability to move the route with regard to the notice corridor?
What do you mean by notice corridor?
With regard of who was given notice of where the route would be?
I'm assuming you notified everyone, didn't you, that where the route would be?
And let me ask you this. Are you aware that there are limitations in the board's rules on the deviation from the submitted route that is allowable?
No. They at one time said they were talking about moving the line. One of the representatives for the company talked about moving the line.
One moment, Your Honor. Do you know whether this, the proposed route has already been rerouted to the north once already?
I'm not aware of that.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Pauly,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes, good morning. I just have one question for you, and it's regarding your request on the changing of the crossing of Highway 71. You indicated you'd like to see that moved north as well.
Yes.
Can you give us a little more information as to why you would, why you're making that request?
If they want to reroute, this is going to tear up more of the farm ground around in there. They'd have to, to me, it looks like do a right angle to get it back up to where they want to cross.
Okay. And is there any concern if you were to go ahead with your expansion plans of access to 71 for you personally, or are you still using the roads that you currently have for access to Highway 71?
Right now, we're just looking at using the present access, but we haven't got, not opposed to
Okay.
getting other access if we're allowed. I know when they constructed the road, there is limits to how much access they will allow.
Sure.
And I'm not sure what all those exact rules are, but I know we couldn't just put access to the field anywhere where we wanted. There had to be certain distances, and I don't recall what those distances are.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Mr. Wagner?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Lenhart.
Good morning.
In looking at your, in the map of your existing buildings and everything, it looks like there's one little section that 3 of the buildings are in a sectioned off piece of property. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you've got a 4th to the very far south building is on a separate piece of property. I'm assuming you own that as well, since you've got a building on it?
That is, right now, is in our mother's name, in a living trust, I believe they call it, or
Okay,
we will eventually have that ground.
okay. So what was the purpose of building to the north versus building to the south?
It doesn't show on here, but we have the farm. If you go further south, that's where the home place is, and there's a hog set up on that property.
Okay.
And so we're limited on which direction we can go there, because if we want to expand our hog operation, that obviously is going to have to go north also. And we want to maintain distance between a hog operation and the turkey operation for biosecurity purposes. That's a big issue with livestock. Like at our turkey farm, we shower in, we shower out. On the hog setup, there's different boots and clothes that are warm going into the buildings and coming out. And like I said, biosecurity is a big issue for us, and we like to maintain some separation there.
Okay. And is the 4 buildings the extent of your anticipated expansion? Would it ever go any further?
It's possible, but I know at some point we got to set a limit. I know the first time we expanded, we said never again, and we've done it 3 times since. So.
Okay. And you said you had discussions about this potential growth with Dakota Access. Is that
Yes.
correct? And were you ever told that yes, the line could move, or?
Yes, they mentioned if they could bring it 960 feet to the north, would that be far enough? And at that point I said, without knowing the exact amount of dirt we'd have to move off the borrow area, I couldn't give that as an answer.
Okay.
That it was far enough. Then it was brought up that maybe we should get an engineer to check that out. And at that point, we didn't feel like we should go and spend the money on an engineer at that point.
Sure. So exactly how many feet to the north do you need the line to go?
If it would go 1,000 feet, I think that would cover it. Once it gets engineered, it may be less than that, but at this point, we're saying 1,000 feet would get us past the knob.
Okay. And maybe you're not as concerned about this as others are because you've got the other operations, but there's been a lot of discussion about removal of topsoil, and when you replace that topsoil, do you get the same productivity? Are you guys worried at all about the productivity? Do you see a loss in productivity when you do that with what you called your borrow area? when you remove the topsoil, take the dirt you need for your base and then put the topsoil back, is there a loss in that productivity then, or are you guys not concerned with that? Or
There is a loss. I know we do have a rural water line that runs on our property all along 71, and that ground is not as productive as what it was before they put that line in.
okay, and so you see the same thing with your borrow area.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Linhart. You've talked about the plans for different use of the property. How firm are you on those plans? I mean, I just heard you state that you have not done any engineering or anything. It's just something you've been talking about doing. Is that correct?
I've always told them all along it's a proposal. If we'd ever want to grow, that's the direction we'd have to go. We've had some discussions with the company we grow for. I mean, I just mentioned we do not actually own the turkeys that are in the building. We contract grow, so a lot of our growth is always dependent on if the people we grow for want to expand. And if they do, we need to be in a position to be able to meet that expansion if they decide to go with us for more production from our farm.
And to your knowledge, for the property on the east, if the line would move to the north, are you aware of any issues that will arise because of the movement of the line to the north?
It's a bare 80 there right now. There's no house on that property. So I don't know of any issues. I've not spoken to the Eddies about that.
That was my next question. As it relates to the property to the west, are you aware of any issues that may arise if the proposed pipeline would move to the north?
Again, there's nobody right in that area as far as building. I just know the bank that owns that has not signed off on anything on that.
To your knowledge, are there any natural gas or other pipelines on your property?
The rural water line, there's Iowa Lakes Electric has a buried line in there. I know it's a phone line. They've changed names several times. But
does the pipeline go across any of those?
It'll have to go across all those. All those run along Highway 71.
All right. And I have asked some other individuals, are you aware of whether your county supervisors have been in negotiations with any companies for the inspectors?
Yes, I believe the INS group, or IS group they call themselves now, is my understanding who's going to be doing that.
And this is informational for me, but you brought up biosecurity, and I'm interested in knowing that when construction is occurring, I know with the past year that we've had with our poultry farms that we have certain provisions in place. Is the proposed pipeline far enough away that it has no impact on security issues that might arise related to your farming operation?
Well, obviously, the further away, the better. But it would be a matter. I mean, we would not want to allow any construction equipment right up in our site, and even accessing to the driveway. Because like now, everything that goes on and off our farm is disinfected before it gets up there.
How far is that distance?
Which distance
from your operation that you try and keep individuals or vehicles or equipment?
The disinfecting station for the right now is right when you come up the lane. Bring it back a little further. Go east. Keep going. Right there, there's a disinfecting station.
And how far is that from the building?
That
approximately?
Oh, that's approximately Look at this map. Let's say about 200 feet. That's the area we use now for the trucks that don't have their own disinfecting on them. A lot of the feed trucks that come out now have their own self-disinfecting apparatus set up on them. The drive we primarily use is further south where our farm is, because obviously the further away that we can disinfect them, the better we are. But when this was originally built, we always had our shower in, shower out, but as far as disinfecting everything on the farm has really been heightened with bird flu. Ideally, we would have the disinfecting station clear down by the road, but we did not have water access down there when all this transpired.
And for the record, you have no personal knowledge on the notice requirements or the areas that are included in those notice requirements for the pipeline. Is that correct?
As far as?
You don't know exactly where the notice letters, who they went to, or how far from the proposed pipeline location.
I can tell you the only notices we get was from the pipeline company.
But you're not aware of the properties that were included in the notice that was given by Dakota Access, other than your own?
Correct, unless it was shared by different landowners directly.
All right. Can you please share with the board exactly what you're looking for in terms of relief?
Well, I'd like for them to move the line north again like they originally proposed they would be willing to look into doing.
Is there anything else that you wish to share with the board?
No, just our willingness to meet and have good faith negotiations. I know that from the 31st of July was the last time we were contacted by them. And I initiated contact on the 24th to try to resolve the issue.
The 24th of July?
Of September.
Of September.
We had asked for some, we're dealing with a representative, and he kept having to go back and forth to his supervisor. And I asked at one time if we could get together with his supervisor also to not have to do all this back and forth. He thought that would be a good idea. He said he was going to call him and get right back to me, and he called back and said the supervisor, unless I had plans for the proposed building, that he didn't want to meet with me.
Okay. Mr. Murray?
I don't have any. I have one thing, actually, that you triggered.
Pull your mic up a little closer, please.
Right there?
There you go.
Ms. Huser, Chairwoman Huser asked you about the question of how firm was it, the possibility of expansion. And you had given an answer about depends upon I think the owner of the birds and their expansion plans. Do you remember that answer you gave?
Yes.
Who is the owner of the birds?
Tyson Foods owns them now.
And who was it before?
Before that, it was Hillshire Foods.
How long have they been operating?
Which one, Hillshire or?
It's a bad question. Where is the location of that operation, that kill operation?
It's in Storm Lake.
And how far away is their kill operation to your farm?
It's probably 5 miles.
And as it relates to all their turkey sites, do you have a fairly close site in comparison to other sites?
Yes.
So going back to the question by Ms. Huser, I'm going to back up. How many expansions has Tyson or their predecessors had in the past since operating there, to your knowledge?
Well, if we go way back to when it was originally who we started growing for, like I said, we've expanded twice. We've added buildings. this farm used to be what they call a brood to finish. We get them in day old and finish them all the way through. And about 6 years ago, we remodeled the whole facility, and it's now what they call just a brooder farm. We get turkeys in there a day old, and they raise them to 4 weeks of age, and then they are shipped off to another site, again, for biosecurity reasons, so there's just one age of turkey in one building.
All right. So getting back to the line of question here, based upon that background, do you feel you're confident that they're going to expand again?
Yes, I know they're talking about an expansion going on now, possibly. They've been working on, they had talked to us once before. That was approximately 2 years ago. We had serious discussions with them about another expansion. Due to some market plans, or market issues, those plans got put on hold. And I think they're getting ready to revisit this again.
And that probably has to do with the fact that they shut their operation down here, as I understand it.
Yes, they had some issues with fire at the plant.
When was the fire?
That was that just a little over a year ago?
And it took them completely out of production, as I understand it. Is that right?
Yes.
And they came back?
They were shipping turkeys all over the country.
And then
to be
after that,
processed.
were they affected by this biosecurity issue?
Objection, Your Honor.
Mr. Dubinsky, please state your objection.
Same objection as earlier about the council testifying, but also we have gone way beyond where this line started and any connection that it had to the scope of prior conversations.
Mr. Murray?
I think I've hammered the nail quite healthfully, so I'm going to withdraw and...
Anything further?
Nope, I'm closed.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lenhart. You may step down.
You're welcome.
Mr. Murray, please call your next witness.
The next witness is Tom Kunz.
Good morning, Mr. Kunz. Please raise your right arm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. Mr. Murray?
Thank you. Mr. Kunz, please state your name.
Tom Kunz.
And have you had cause to be filed a written direct testimony in this matter?
I have.
Are there any corrections to that testimony you want to raise?
No.
I'm going to come back to that, but on the screen appears to be a map, and now the hand is over a parcel identified as IA-OB-003.000, owned by Ruth Ports Kunz. Is this the same person you identified in your written direct testimony?
It is.
And is this the parcel that you've referred to in your direct testimony?
It is.
It appears to be a parcel in O'Brien County. Would that be right?
That is correct.
With respect to the land itself, how many acres is in that parcel?
What they have shaded there is 40 acres. We also own about 110 acres total.
Okay, and so is there another 70 located in another direction from that 40?
Adjacent to the north.
Okay. Now, with respect to the 40-acre parcel that's shaded there,
Mr. Murray, can I just, so we don't have to go back to it, where the hand was at, is that the parcel that you're speaking of?
Correct.
And the record reflects that there's the hand that's to the north, kind of the north, and alongside the county highway line road?
Correct.
Okay.
Both pieces of that shaded line. The whole width of that piece.
All right. Now, putting the hand back on the shaded parcel there, with respect to that parcel, is that farmland?
It is.
Okay. Has that been used for agricultural production in the past 5 years?
It has.
And what products have been produced there?
Corn, soybean rotation.
Has there been any fertilizer used on that?
Yes.
with respect to any subdividing? Has that been subdivided in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Okay. Now, I'm going to refer I'm going to refer you, without putting it on the screen, of course, to a portion of Dakota Access Confidential Exhibit KLJ-1, and I believe you've received a portion of those records as they pertain to right-of-way negotiations between Dakota Access and yourself. Have you received those records?
I have.
And after you reviewed those records, do you agree that those records accurately depict all the negotiations between yourself and your family, for that matter, and Dakota Access?
No, I don't.
Okay. And I believe your written testimony does provide some specificity there. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to go any further into that. I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier?
No questions.
Mr. Piazza?
No questions.
Mr. Dublinsky?
No questions?
Mr. Pauly?
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs?
No questions.
Mr. Wagner? Mr. Coons, I have several questions that I am going to be asking you that the board has compiled. But before I get into those questions, I have a question as it relates to your testimony on page 4.
Okay.
It's my understanding from reading your testimony that you gave the land agent a card and told them that you were represented by counsel. Is that correct?
It is.
Did the land agent continue to come back to your property after you told them you were represented by counsel?
He did.
Was it the same land agent?
It was.
Did that land agent ever contact your attorney?
I did talk to my attorney again just to make sure I was correct on this, and they called his office, but he had never talked to him.
Has your attorney ever talked to Dakota Access since that date?
No. They never reapproached it. Never even tried.
Okay. Do you have any plans for different use of your property in the future?
There is a family farm acreage just to the north of the piece that's shaded, with a building site, trees and everything on it. We've been asked several times every year to sell that acreage, and it's my wife's family farm, and it's not for sale, but it's there for our kids to build a house someday if they'd like, and they know that. And that's, I mean, if we wanted to clear the ground, we could clear the ground, but it's home for her. So.
And I may have missed this question by Mr. Murray, but is it all cropland?
Everything but the acreage.
Everything but the acreage? And I assume it's corn and beans, or?
Correct.
Do you know what your corn suitability rating is?
I don't.
Okay. Does your property have drainage tile or other installations?
Yes.
Can you please tell me, other than the drain tiles, what else is on the property?
Okay. Well, we'll start with the drain tiles. It's got 16 miles of pattern tile in it. Rural water goes around it, adjacent to McKinley Avenue, along 450, and then across the top end or the east side of the farm also, a 6-inch water line. And there is a natural gas line that is running parallel to Dakota Access's pipeline that they've proposed. And there's also fiber optics running around 450th Street. And that's all that I know.
And I asked the question poorly, but on the piece of property where the pipeline goes, is there any rural water in front of that?
6-inch rural water line on the west side, adjacent to the road.
And then the natural gas pipeline runs along
The south side.
Can you please describe, so that we can place it in the record, exactly where the natural gas pipeline is on the property that's shaded in red?
The natural gas line, to the best of my knowledge, which is pretty good on it, is going to run approximately from their line 90 feet south adjacent to it.
Do you know when that natural gas pipeline was put in?
No,
Installed?
it was, I'm guessing, in the early 30s. It is a 20-inch pipeline, I believe.
And does your drainage tile, the pattern drainage tile, lie above the natural gas pipeline?
Yes, the pattern tile is 3.5 foot deep to the bottom of the tile. And it's running north and south, 50-foot spacing.
Did you file any objections in this?
I did not.
Could you tell the board who owns the natural gas pipeline?
I could not. I just know where we call when we tiled it. It comes out of Clean Iowa, where they come and watch you dig over it. But I do not know who owns it.
We'll probably ask Mr. Mahmood that question. Can you tell the board, beyond what we've currently discussed, what you're looking for in terms of relief?
Yes. First of all, I think it's very important that the board understands the importance of what your decision is on our property. What you make for a decision here affects our property forever. The ground underneath our property, how our property produces, our tile. These are all things that we had a meeting on February 18th with 3 members of Dakota Access, and we had a list of questions and stuff and wanted them answered. And, you know, I had the same representative all the way through. And one of the questions I asked that night is, I said, well, how are you ever going to replace the dirt if this pipeline leaks? And he had no problem to answer me, well, that's not a problem, we'll just haul in more dirt. And I looked at him and I said, where are you going to get dirt to replace this soil? And I said, do you know what the Granville's motto is? It's the home of black soil. I mean, our black soil is deep. I said, where are you going to find dirt to bring it? And he just blew me off. Dirt's dirt. And I said, you don't understand. And I said, our property to us is very important. I mean, when we go out farming, I mean, we don't go out there and mud it up and haul down on the roads. And that was another question we asked for him. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is we have no control. And it's the more I listen to what's going on here, I mean, our accessibility to be there as a landowner doesn't sound like it's going to be much at all. And if it goes on with anything like the negotiation has going on from the beginning, we probably will not, we won't probably even be allowed out there. But that is our tile, that is our ground, and I think we have a right to make sure it is maintained the way it was put in. So that's the one thing I've got. Our access, the access I believe should only be for what they're not, I mean, why do they need access to the whole 40 acres? Why can't their access be over what they're asking for their permanent access? They've got access to that whole parcel, along with everybody else that signs. I mean, if you read their stuff, I mean, they're taking access to everything. I would like to know how many people signed, realized what they signed. Because I guarantee you, they were not ever explained that that access is there forever. And if it's not that way, I guess I'd like to have it stated in there that it's not like that. Or it's got to be stated in there. I've always said in my testimony, it's not about the money. It's about how we're taken care of and how the ground is taken care of. That they do not want to answer them questions or even, and he had no problem, that Mike had no problem coming out. And they've came out several times. And the other thing I've got, if you look just to the west of me, across the road, and he's here too, he's Sioux County. I'm O'Brien County. I own the ground right up to next to his ground. From day one of our negotiation, my ground is worth $5,000 an acre less than his. You tell me why. They butt up against each other. Since that, I've told him, and it's in the testimony too, that I'm watching land auctions. We got land auctions in O'Brien County that brought more ground within 5 miles of these two farms than in Sioux County. But my ground's worth $5,000 an acre less. So it hit me hard and wrong that there's no negotiation on this. None. Absolutely none. So until they met with the lawyer and had him satisfied with what was talked about in their sheets that we needed to sign, I was not interested in discussing money with them. And it's in there too, and they never did come back, but they never met with the lawyer either. So, and I come to a point where I guess that they're going to take it by eminent domain. And we were told that, I was told that specifically, you will never outfight big Texas oil money. And it's like, it come to be more of a deal as it's not about the money, it's about what's right and wrong. So that's kind of where I stand. I think they should be responsible for what they've done and how they've treated us. And I guarantee you, as a board, if you go back and you poll the people that have signed and really ask them if they know what they signed and if they realize what they give them, I guarantee you how you would come out on this. They would not be happy about what they don't know. The other question I have is, and this is a big topic with everybody, the liability insurance. What is it? Can anybody tell me how many dollars? Because I've heard from 0 to 10 million. Depends on if you negotiated it and if you signed it. Now, is that fair? I mean, we're all property owners on there. Shouldn't we all be at 10 million? Or should we, or the little old lady down the road that knows nothing, is she responsible for having to negotiate that? I don't feel she should have been. That's dirty balls, what I call that. So that's what I have.
Mr. Coons, you've brought up a couple of issues that I want to just go back to.
Okay.
One is, you are in O'Brien County. Are you aware of any negotiations that your county supervisors have had with a company that would provide the inspection responsibilities?
The week before Thanksgiving, I actually called. I didn't know who to call, but I called the county courthouse. I got passed through the chain of everybody of knowing nothing, and I finally got a hold of the county auditor, and they have got nothing lined up. I said, who is here to help us as a farmer with this? And I knew there should be a panel of names on there that they're going to select, I think, so many out of to represent us. But they've never done it. They had no idea how it was going to work, and they have not done anything to work with this on. I said, do you realize this is something that we're going to have to do real quick? They didn't care.
And you understand that the board has heard testimony that there have been meetings that have occurred with every county that all county supervisors in every county by which this proposed pipeline is in. Do you understand that?
I do now.
Okay. So we're trying to figure out if those meetings occurred with those county supervisors and those county supervisors have had this company come in and present to them, what is the information that they are saying this board should be aware of that should be included in either our ag mitigation plan or as part of any requirement should the board decide that the proposed pipeline petition is granted? Are you aware of any, because of the proximity that you have then to Sioux County, are you aware of any conversations or discussions that the Sioux County supervisors have had related to the inspectors?
I have no recollection. In O'Brien County, I do know, I might be the only one. If you look at O'Brien County, there's not very many miles in O'Brien County. I might be the only one that hasn't signed. So in that case, it's probably not important to them as like it is to me.
Well, if you look at the map that's showing, this is how I've kept track of it. If they're in red, that means there's no voluntary easement that's been obtained. So those are the properties that are left in O'Brien County.
Okay.
And our maps are updated daily, although there are some areas that we're going to ask Mr. Mahmood about.
And I do know all those landowners, and I have no problem talking with them because they're in the same position I am then, which it really is two other landowners. That's what it
is. Mr. Dublinsky?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Cons, just one quick follow-up on a discussion that you had about the negotiations. You had talked there at the end about sort of a distinction between the easement and the compensation. And in fact, when you talked to Mike, and was that Mike Streb?
Yes, sir.
When you talked to Mike, did you in fact tell him that your attorney would be handling the easement language, but that you would be handling the compensation negotiations?
It was made very clear to Mike and Ed. They were in my office. I handed my attorney's card and said, you go talk to him about the easement, and then you come back and talk to me about the compensation.
So it is not your instruction or your desire for the attorney to handle all of it?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions.
Mr. Murray?
I have nothing for redirect.
You may call your next witness, and this witness may step down. Thank you, sir.
Nyla's final witness is Francis Goebel. Thank you.
As we switch for the information of all the parties and those in attendance, we will complete this witness, and then we will go to lunch for half an hour, 40 minutes.
Madam
And
Chair.
following that, we will move to Mr. Mahmood. Good afternoon, Mr. Goebel. Please raise your right arm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You may be seated, Mr. Murray.
Thank you. Mr. Goebel, you should probably take your hat off. Thank you. Apologize, but now, please state your name for the record.
Francis Goebel.
And have you, are you the same person who previously signed and submitted written testimony in this matter?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections or clarifications to that written statement?
No.
Okay. With the assistance of the technology desk, I'm going to have us pull up the CUNS map as we previously had. And if we can zoom into that, thank you. Now, I'm referring you, for a matter of clarification, to, again, the parcel number IA-OB-003.000, that parcel right there, correct?
Yes.
Now, if we had the hand move to the left or the west and stop right there, who owns the ground that's directly across the road to the west?
My wife and myself.
And are you here to talk about your dealings with respect to that parcel?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, your testimony refers to that parcel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I'm going through my notes here. Now, I'm going to refer generally to Dakota Access Confidential Exhibit KLJ-1, a portion of which you have been able to receive and review over the weekend. Would I have that correct?
Yes.
And that would have to do with, would that have to do with the parcel we just described?
Yes.
Do you believe that those, without getting into the specifics of those notes, just if you could answer me generally, do you believe that those notes accurately depict all of the negotiations between yourself and your family and Dakota Access?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. Now, is there some of it's not accurately depicting it without telling us the specifics?
A couple of small points, yes.
Okay. Now, your testimony, I'm just going to on page 4 of your direct testimony. Are you there?
Yes.
I think you had some quotations there in your direct testimony as to negotiations. Is any of that depicted in the right-of-way notes that we just discussed?
Not so much, no.
Okay. With that, I tender the witness.
Mr. Lozier,
No questions.
Mr. Piazza,
No questions.
Mr. Dubinsky,
No questions?
Mr. Pauly,
No questions.
Ms. Jacobs,
I have no questions.
Mr. Wagner, Mr. Goebel, did you file any objections in this docket
Yes, I did.
in addition to your testimony?
Electronically, I did.
And is it your wish that those objections be adopted,
Yes.
admitted? Okay. So ordered. Can you please tell the board what you're looking for in terms of relief?
I just wish that the land agents would have showed us a little more respect than what they did. I think they should be penalized for what they did, the way they handled it. There's a lot of specifics, but that's the consensus of myself and my wife both.
Mr. Goebel, when you met with your land agents and did they describe to you the easement document that you signed?
We went through it.
So they explained it to you? Did you understand all of the legal ramifications of that document?
Of what they showed me, yes.
Were there items in the easement agreement that you don't believe you understood?
Not so much other than the liability. They presented $1 million liability policy for what, I don't know. I think it was just during the construction phase, and it ended right there. Everybody got it. He told me if you signed an agreement, they gave it to you. So,
Okay.
oh, okay.
Help me understand, you were shown $1 million liability policy,
Yes.
part of the easement?
After the easement was signed, that was presented. It was not part of the easement, to my knowledge. I have that in my briefcase. I don't have it here.
Mr. Goebel, is it your understanding that you are covered for $1 million of liability during the construction period of the pipeline?
Yes, but I'm not sure on the amount. It might even be 10 million.
Okay.
Somewhere in between there.
Do you have anything else that you would like to tell the board?
Treat other people the way we'd treat you. That's it.
Mr. Murray?
I have no redirect.
Mr. Goebel, you may step down.
Thank you.
Remember, your mic is on. Mr. Murray, I show no further witnesses for you. Is that correct? Okay, the board will be recessing until 1 o'clock, and at that time, Mr. Mahmood should have his mic on, and we are at Mr. Long. We're recessed until 1.